Africans were brought to the Americas to replace the indigenous population that was going out of extinct, was wiping out. Oh, thank you. It was being wiped out. So like they wanted the colonists wanted a cheaper way to find labor, so they brought slaves to the Americas. And the slaves in America were part of the American Revolution. In Haiti, the slaves are in Haiti from a rebellion and caused the first black nation of Haiti. And now we move to regrowth in the Civil War period. During regrowth, in the late 70s, early 1800s, many colonist empires started to slowly end slavery by either banning it or just finding some way to like lessen it. What was this? But sadly, the cotton gin was created and discovered, causing a spike in population in slavery in America to around 40 million. I don't know for sure it's 40 million, but that's what my sources said. And then we have the Civil War period and emancipation. Briefly before the Civil War, there were events that were going on in America that were helping to free slaves, like the Underground Railroad and the John Brown raid. These events helped to like free slaves in the North or like liberate them in some way. And then during the time of like Civil War and emancipation, the first true African nation of Liberia was founded by free slaves who were allowed to go back. And then at the end of the Civil War, ended through the Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which basically helped to free slaves in slave-owned states. And then also what's it called? And then also many nations slowly also began to end slavery. Like I learned that the Spanish in South America still began to do a process where they didn't ban slavery, but they were ban imports of slaves like America did, or they would like let the slaves get paid in some way. And then in Brazil there was the Lizard, which basically just free all slaves, like the Emancipation Proclamation did. And then now we move to the post-Civil War in the 19th century. In the post-Civil War era, America was going on through Reconstruction, which I learned through Reconstruction. Many African Americans were put into high positions in the government. During Reconstruction, there was 16 senators in Congress, 16 African American senators in Congress. But sadly, after the end of Reconstruction, there wasn't one until for another 40 years. Then we got the 1920s and 1950s, where you have a rebirth of, not a rebirth, but a growth of black arts and culture. You saw the Harlem Renaissance, which saw the biggest migration of African Americans from the South and also more southern countries to the industrial North and Canada also. The Harlem Renaissance saw the birth of things like black fashion, jazz, the blues, what's it called? Poetry, like people like Langston Hughes, Louis Armstrong. These people were all affected by the Harlem Renaissance. And but sadly the Renaissance ended because like many things in our era, there were Great Depression and then World War I, World War II. But now we move forward to the Civil Rights Movement, but in the 1950s we saw in sports we saw Jackie Robinson become the first African American male in any professional American sports in MLB by the New York Dodgers. And then we saw the Civil Rights Movement, which is a movement for civil liberty of like African Americans and blacks in the South. And doing this, it was taken through the 1950s and 1970s, where African Americans began to just fight back for equality, and probably the Civil Rights Movement didn't just help African Americans, but also minorities too, Hispanics, Latinos. There are many cases and events that are now today, like minorities have better treatment, like Brown vs. Board of Education. What was it? There was one I learned about that I never knew about. There was a case in California where there was a Hispanic girl who was almost like the Ruby. You ever heard the Ruby Bridges story? This girl had the same story where her school was fine with her coming to school with like the white kids. They didn't care, but there was the people around it, like the others, because the kids in school didn't care, but the other people around the community were like, and people from the outside who saw her going to school, these kids didn't like that, so they like kind of stopped her. But you know, the what's it called, the NCAA and other people in the local area, they fought at a case all the way to the Supreme Court where that it was okay for any minority kid to go to school with anybody. And then we got the 1970s, and then the true amount of time. Now, during 1970s, we kind of saw a kind of rebirth of black culture, where we saw things like, what was it? We saw the creation of hip hop, Motown, other arts, where like black culture was being celebrated in the 1970s and 60s. We also saw many African Americans started to come back into government. We saw, I learned that Shayla Holmes was the first African American woman and the first African American anywhere in the United States to run for president. And then we come to modern times, we go to Barack Obama becoming the first black American president. Thank you. We got some pictures like the NCAA. Okay. We have the Harlem Renaissance. My man Frederick Douglass. Okay. We got Booker T. Washington. I had a picture of what's it called, his school, the CG Institute, but like I don't know, I think I fell off somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I had this Haitian Revolution, Martin Luther King, the flag of Liberia, hip hop, and then the civil rights movement march on Washington.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I have one question. What year was it that they were constructing blacks to be in the government? What year was that?
The
early or late 1800s, I would say, is the initial beginning.
Yeah. In the beginning, there wasn't any for like 40 years.
Mm-hmm. And then it waited again until after the civil rights movement initiated.
So how many people were elected on there?
During Reconstruction was 16 senators. There were 16 African Americans in Congress.
Okay.
But after Reconstruction, there wasn't any for about 40 years.
Thank you.
By the way, there's another Haitian Revolution going on, if you guys are aware right now.
Is there really?
Yeah, they're speaking loud right now.
They're really loud.
Yeah, they're loud.
Where have I been?
Under a rock, probably.
What is it all about? Like,
I don't know what it's about. I just don't know
Alright.
what's
like I'm curious.
I know like there was the president, I know Haiti, like, cause like, so that's like speaking French. I know like I heard him say like there was like since Haiti has a lot of crimes and stuff, right? A lot of the crime was trying to take over, and like I know he didn't want to have like a coup happen in the country where he gets overthrown. So like he was fighting. He had like a national like a message where he said, I'm not leaving the country. We're gonna fight back. We're not gonna like allow the country to get taken over by gangsters.
Right.
Yeah.
Opie, where are you from?
Oh, I was, yeah.
Okay.
My mom's from Liberia, but I was in Ivory Coast, so.
Where were you born?
I was born in Ivory Coast.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Great job. Thank you.
Like a different version of Africa than it would have been, because things took a different course after colonization. And he's from America, but because of something that happened and still goes through his own kind of, I guess, understanding of what really happened with blacks in America. And so that's basically what the main poem is all about.
All right. What's the name of the poem?
It is called Black History, a synopsis in 3 ascensions and a hindsight. And you ready?
Is it
Yeah.
okay to put you on my Snapchat
Yeah.
while you talk?
Because
Okay.
I'm not going to be on Snapchat the entire time, just
Okay.
to get the phone.
Oh, you don't need it.
I do need it. I'm
Okay.
gonna have to share
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, actually, yeah, she got her phone too.
Okay. All right. So this is called Black History, a synopsis in 3 ascensions and a hindsight. I rise from a post-colonial construct in search of fulfilling the hunger they put in my heart. They is westernizers. They came about to analyze, divide and conquer in what they call the scramble for Africa. Dehumanize a culture for my inheritance. They came for everything my ancestors privileged us. The land, the gold, the women, the children, the men, even the children. How could home ever feel the same again? And what words would you use to describe this kind of pain, my friend?
Black history is not a mystery. Black history is deeper than a month. I rise from a post-slavery maze, a many strange fruits swinging in my great-granddaddy's days. And after that war was won, a crow named Jim put a white cloth on his face, poked 3 holes in him. That was my grandpa's phase. And like the nature of the flu, the torturing of black souls kept rising anew. In my father's prime, bricks and stones and bars birthed a new wave of crime, substituted chains for cuffs. And in my lifetime, I stand with the question, when is enough enough? Because of black history, blacks raise their kids with tough love. Black history is not a mystery. Black history is deeper than a month. Black history is not a mystery, so let's talk about what we see.
This one had a hoodie, that one had a phone, this one had a swisher. Everywhere I turned, black people are never left alone. This one was choked to death while selling cigarettes. These people can't enjoy a barbecue without the situation being turned to a rescue.
Hello? Hello? 911? I'm scared. There's a black civilian and he's got a gun.
Little girl can't have a goal because selling water is against the law. Because when some are building dreams, others are building walls. Makes you wonder how many thieves had their dreams stolen. Because
a life of
crime is not a dream at all.
Now the future, it's either a time of peace or a moment of war. Let's agree on one, but we can't have them both. Because in all honesty, the I have a dream needs to be followed by any means necessary. We can choose peace or we could choose war, but the future has no room for both. If we're together in this, and we're together now,
then none is alone. But if we're not, then don't comment on what I gotta do on my own.
And if we're all connected, because everybody got a phone,
so why wait another 400 years
to talk about what's going on?
Woo!
Black history is not a mystery. Black history is deeper than a month. Thank you.